Dean Obeidellah is a writer for the Daily Beast. He also worked on SNL and co-directed the documentary The Muslims Are Coming. Welcome back, Dean.
Thanks, Carol.
Okay, so you talked to some of the writers who came up with that skit. What did they tell you?
I talked to one of the writers who came up with the sketch. I mean, I thought it was extremely funny. I praised it. I thought they did a great job. You know, they're making fun of the fear some people have about drawing the Prophet Muhammad. And I think that's what SNL at its highest point is, making you laugh, making you think, and pointing out something in society or pointing out something in politics that's going on, a hot button issue. And they did that exactly perfectly.
I have to say, while I was watching that, I kept wondering what would happen if they actually drew the Prophet Muhammad. Yeah,
that's an interesting question of what would happen. And I really hope, and I wrote in my article for the Daily Beast, that we get to that point. And I think, frankly, among mainstream Muslims, which in America that's what we are, except for a few exceptions, what we saw in Garland, Texas, it's a yawn. You know, the idea that you're going to draw the Prophet Muhammad, you can do that. And the response from the Muslim community, if they were upset, would be to call NBC or send emails, just like any other group when they get upset about something you see. And freedom of expression, I've made this point over and over. It's two ways. One is you have the freedom to say things, and I have the freedom to use words to counter what you say if I don't like it. And that's completely normal. Every group's done it. In this case, I posted my article on Facebook, and every Muslim American friend who saw this thought it was great. They thought it was funny, made a good point. And we need to laugh sometimes at fears. We need to laugh at ISIS. We need to laugh at some of the scary people out there. It's cathartic.
I totally agree with that, actually. There are those who say, though, Dean, the skit also captured the media's refusal to deal with the issue. Red State's Eric Erickson writes, quote, "History shows us over and over that the moment evil realizes you are scared of provoking it, you have provoked it into action. Islamic radicals under the radar in our country are now emboldened by the press reaction in Texas. Saturday Night Live's skit last night was a perfectly humorous way to point out the absurdity of radical Islam's refusal to let people draw Muhammad."
You know, Eric Erickson is known as a comedy commentator, you know, at Red State. I find his stuff very unintentionally funny often. I think what's interesting here is that both liberals and conservatives are laughing at this sketch. So let's look at it from a good side in this hyper-partisan world we live in. I don't think I can agree with Eric Erickson on anything, let alone this. The writers, their goal was not to make fun of radical Islam, this made-up idea. There are radical Muslims, but the idea of radical Islam and this comedy...
Well, I think he's confusing two separate issues, right? So Pamela Geller had the right to put that cartoon she had the right to do that.
Sure.
Nobody's really saying that she didn't, right?
Right.
But you have to talk about exactly why she did it. Now, the SNL skit did it, but without the underlying hate, which made it much more powerful.
And I agree, and that's what I wrote about. They addressed it in a way, they punch up in comedy, and that's the best form of comedy. You're punching up at people in power, at maybe scary boogeymen. Punching down is demonizing minority groups. That's what Pamela Geller did. So in some week, if you look back in the week, it was a great week. Saturday Night Live had this great sketch, we all laughed, and Pamela Geller was finally exposed for what we knew in the Muslim community as a well-paid, well-compensated anti-Muslim bigot who demonizes for a living, frankly. So I think overall, a great week.